Good evening, everybody, and thank you for attending the RiverBend Golf Community Annual General Meeting. This is the first time in 4 years we've been together live, which is very exciting. So hopefully this lasts for a few years to come. This is actually our first ever hybrid version of the AGM. So thanks for all those who are here today attending, and a special welcome to everyone at home watching on your couch, hopefully enjoying a glass of wine. So that's a very good option too. So thank you all for being here today. Before I move to our agenda, I did want to talk about how it's going to go tonight. Special thanks to our IT support group and Tara Raycraft and all the speakers tonight for taking time out of their busy schedules to come speak to you today and present what's taking place at RiverBend. So our agenda tonight, we'll have some department updates from Jerry Hackers, our community grounds superintendent, then an update from Sean Greco, our food and beverage manager, followed by Jared Snyder. Thank you, Jared, for filling in for Toby Stoley, construction manager. Then we'll have an update from our Owners Council chair, Brian Morris. And then I'll have the interesting end of the evening, the financial updates. So I will look after that at that. We will also have a Q&A at the end of the evening. There are different ways you can ask a question. So for those of you at home, please feel free to use the chat version. Please send a chat message to all, and we will address that answer at the end of the night. For those in person who have a question, we will have a mic set up in the middle of the room. Please just put your hand up and we'll kind of alternate between the chat and the live questions. So it should be a good evening tonight. But again, thank you for being here, and thank you for being residents of this wonderful community. So 2023 has been another exciting year for the community, the province, and the City of London. We thought COVID was the highlight of what could happen across the globe, but now we are seeing the repercussions of COVID and what can happen in regards to inflation, the labor market, definitely unique challenges that has affected our supply chain, our cost of goods, but we are still trucking along, and I think we've had a very successful year. We've had a couple of unique circumstances come up this year. Some questions with our land lease, which we'll address some of those questions tonight. And now we've got a very active clubhouse renovation committee working feverishly on a proposed renovation to this building. So, and we'll provide some updates on what is taking place with that renovation. So, lots of unique challenges and unique concerns, but I think that's also we have to focus on what is good happening at RiverBend. We are in the home stretch of filling out this community with only 6 unsold lots, which is wonderful. That's exciting to see. And from a Sifton perspective, this is also Sifton's 100th anniversary as a third-generation family-run company. And as most of us know, family-run generation companies don't typically last that long. So I think we're in good hands with Sifton. So again, welcome tonight. Thank you for coming. Thank you for participating. And we'll move right along, and we'll start off with our community grounds superintendent, Jerry Hackers.
Thanks, Simon. Good evening and welcome. Tonight, I'd like to start off with some personnel changes that we had early on this spring. Cindy Bulow was our horticulturalist, and she resigned in March, late March. And it's not the best time to resign, but she resigned in late March to become the manager at Fanshawe Gardens. Without a horticulturalist for several months, it was very hard to find a replacement for her. Oh, yeah. That's my job too. I told him to kick me, but he's too far away. So we're looking for a replacement for Cindy. I was really grateful that we had our seasonal gardeners return. We have Karen. Karen's been around for 15 years. She knows your gardens. Heather and Lauren have been around for 6, and it was just great to have that experience during this transition period. After some searching, we finally found someone to replace Cindy, and her name is Rebecca Walker, and I'm sure some of you have already met her. Rebecca has been in the green industry for 15 years and holds a horticultural certificate from Fanshawe College. She was a head grower for a local garden center as well as a florist for several years. And she has a wealth of knowledge with plants, and she'd love to stop by and discuss your landscape needs with you. Late December last year, our team leader left. So Scott Lombardi left us, but we replaced him with Tim Glazer. Tim was a seasonal groundskeeper for 4 years with us, and now he leads up the community grounds team. Tim is also pursuing a landscape architecture degree. He missed a couple of credits, so that's why he's sticking around with us for a bit longer. We had one more position to another full-time position was irrigation technician. That individual left in September last year, so we still hadn't found anybody until this spring. We hired within again. We have a good pool of talent within our seasonal groundskeepers, and we actually stole someone from Kev this time. And this is Logan Harvey, who's been around for 4 years as a seasonal greenskeeper on the golf course, and he came over to become full-time with us in the grounds. As in all sectors, it's been a bit of a challenge to find people specific for these jobs because they are so specific. And it really is a employer's market in the landscape industry. I'm advancing it. There. So community growth, as Simon mentioned, we have sold 12 new homes this year, and the community is growing, and we're nearing the end of construction. I've been around since '02 on this property, and there was like 48 houses. So it's really awesome to see all the new people coming in, and the more payment that goes down, the better. And actually sod too. So this year we've actually installed 1.5 acres of sod, which equates now to about 70 acres of maintainable turf. So there's a lot of grass out there. In 2024, you're going to see some finish coat pavement in phase 10, Sandy Somerville Lane, and in Edervasti Villas. We won't be paving the rest of it until the last home's built in that area for construction traffic. You'll see us communicate that through Ben Bits because there will be some traffic disruptions. And speaking of traffic, we really ask that everyone kind of slows down in the community with the growth we have in this community, with golf carts around and all the larger vehicles. If you can please maintain the speed limit, that'd be amazing. Oh, sorry. In reviewing our surveys from last year, one of the areas we did find that we really could use some more work on was actually weeding of the gardens. And again, it was a bit of a challenge this year without having a horticulturalist for like 8 weeks in the heart of spring when everything should be done. So we had Rebecca to catch her up to speed. So it took a little bit of time. So I apologize for that. We will continue to offer more frequent garden services. We try to touch every garden every 10 days. We're going to add more staff next year in this regard. And with the addition of Rebecca, we now have a dedicated person that can do all the special requests and meet with you in your porch. But when you email Rebecca for any of your needs, if you could please add your name and your address and as detailed as possible. But that was from Rebecca because she gets a lot of emails, and if she knows where it's coming from, she can address it quicker and until she gets to know all of you. And sometimes a full garden renovation may be required for some of the older gardens, but in that case, you just have to hire an outside contractor to do that work. And the grounds. We get this a lot. Why are they cutting so fast? I don't know about you, but they're kids and it's really hard to tame those children. Well, they're not that young, but still. So what we do hear it a lot. So we constantly try to correct this behavior, and we've added some speed limiters to some of our equipment to try to slow them down a bit. So I don't know what else we can do. We do address it. And if you do notice it, let me know. We address it right away. But I don't know why they get paid by the hour and they still want to rush through things, but oh well. So we are constantly trying to slow them down. We also do an online training, so it's that consistent message that we try to give them all the time. And sometimes the returning ones are actually a little faster because they know what they can get away with, I guess. But oh well. Another point on the survey that we get, and yeah, just like puppies. So another thing we get on the surveys a lot too is the weeds in the lawn. And I know I say this every year, and you probably don't want to hear it again, but we do have a cosmetic pesticide ban from 2009. So for us, that tool we had for traditional chemicals, we really were able to control the weeds better than we are now. So our mandate is try to keep a nice thick lawn whenever possible. So we achieve that by applying 2 high quality applications of fertilizer in the spring and in the fall. But it will be a constant battle. So thanks for your understanding on that one. Irrigation. So in the spring, we had a major irrigation electrical failure on some of the pump supply. So we did have a temporary fix on that for a while. It took about 5 weeks to complete it. So we were still able to operate, just not at full capacity. It is the irrigation is showing some signs of age, and underground services sometimes fail. So that's what happened in this case. But we did receive some timely rainfall, which was great. And as you know, Mother Nature is obviously the best irrigator around. And when we get a good rain through here, it really brightens things up a lot. It's that time of year again. So in October 23rd, we're going to winterize the system. So it takes about 3 days to do that. And we'll put out a bend bit reminder for that as well. And then the fall and the winter. So over the next few months, you'll see our teams busy preparing gardens and grounds for the end of the year. This will include cutting back perennials and ornamental grasses. We'll be applying that late fall fertilizer, so the turf comes out of the spring good and healthy. And we also offer a tree wrapping service to prevent deer from eating on shrubs or just winter desiccation. So there's going to be a bend bit about that as well. And we will start that around November 5th or something like that. We had it in the bend bits, I think. So and the following is what you can expect from us for the winter time. We monitor the snow conditions 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we have a minimum threshold of 2 inches before we deploy our resources. And when we actually do start on a typical overnight snowfall, you'll hear the truck banging around at 2:30 in the morning. Usually it's me, and I apologize if I'm hitting the curbs too hard and waking you up, but it's for your safety, really. So we do all the roads first, and then we'll maintain into the driveways after that. And we do have a private contractor that does the shoveling in front of the doorways of the garage, and then they'll do a 4-foot section of your sidewalk to the front door. And yes, sometimes it gets a little narrow, so let me know and we'll come by and make it wider too. Usually takes about 4 or 8 hours to complete that whole process, depending on the time or depending on the amount of snow. It takes about, we will do snow removal once per 24-hour period. If it continues to snow, someone will be here to keep the roads open just for emergency vehicles. And during extreme events, we will post that online. So just updates as we go. And we also offer a no ice melt service if you don't want any ice melt products applied to your driveway. There's a waiver on the website. Just fill out that waiver, and it just kind of it allows our operators to know that's one spot not to put ice melt. And then the gatehouse, Lisa wanted me to touch on a few things too. She's had some staff changes up there too. Tyra resigned and Deepak is up there now. And now the gatehouse is fully staffed. And Lisa said she's been here, her and Sherry have been here for over 8 years, and they just can't believe how fast time's gone by. So they've been here for a while. Traffic is increasing significantly up there at the gate. And that the roundabout can get really congested. So again, just use the proper roundabout driving skills that you have. And then whenever you're walking out there, if there's a sidewalk, please use that, especially dark times, some of the staff come in early, and if you're walking on the road, it's better if you're on the sidewalk for sure. Lisa's ready to do some home check services too. So that's going to happen this winter, and she can customize it to however you want it. She'd be happy to review that with you. Oh, and then, yeah, so we also have some video cameras out here too to help the concierge see what's going on through the community. So they monitor that. They have 2 monitors up there so they can see everything that's happening. And it helps us for the snow removal process, actually, because we can see it remotely. And if we see there's some drifting or things like that, we can get here a little quicker. So, but that's about it for me, I think. I just, on behalf of the grounds team, I want to thank you for all your support. Every time you guys wave and say hi, the staff just love that. And it just, even when there's a few complaints, that's okay. But when they see everybody smiling and waving, that just makes their day. And we really do appreciate your support. And we always know there is room for improvement, and we will continue to try to improve. So thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. 21 years at RiverBend. Well done, Jerry. Hackers, that's wonderful. So you must have started when you were 20. Wasn't mine. Okay, so thank you, Jerry. We'll move on to food and beverage, and our food and beverage manager, Sean Greco.
All right. Thank you, Simon, and welcome to all those residents here tonight and viewing virtually as well. I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. Special thank you to all those who attended our Thanksgiving dinner. We had 160 in the building for a Sunday night dinner, which was a great attendance. So thank you again for your support there. Each year, our team evaluates the operation through our feedback through the annual survey and identify a few key areas to focus our initiatives on, with the primary purpose of improving the overall resident experience. This year, our initiatives were highlighted as follows. We had improving food quality and consistency. That seems to be a steady one every year. Providing more variety through our menu revisions, features, and our special dining events. Improving our staff training program and further developing our seasonal staff, and increasing our beverage offerings and promotions through our partnerships with our various suppliers. Food quality and consistency, focusing on more house-made product, cost-effective and consistent. There's been a concentrated effort and approach this past year to utilize more house-made product. This includes many items such as dressings, sauces, breads, appetizers, and desserts, among other things. This not only provides a more consistent product, but in many cases, it provides a significant cost savings. Standardized recipes and consistent taste, presentation, and costing. All menu items produced by our culinary team have standardized recipes and ingredients that are communicated to the team in meetings and training sessions and adhered to at all times. These recipes are designed to ensure that the product presented to the resident is consistent in taste, quality, and presentation, regardless of the staff member executing it. These recipes are also guidelines when we use our menu costing programs to remain effective in maintaining our budgeted and projected resident food costs. Suppliers. Additional suppliers have been added to improve the quality and ensure competitive pricing and value. Our relationship and leverage with our numerous suppliers is an important part of our operations, especially during these hostile times. We continuously adjust our purchasing procedures, and we research in order for us to receive the best product for the best price and the best value for our community. Consistent menu changes. This has allowed us to change our menu every 5 weeks with the focus on removing the slow movers with some new items, minimizing any wastage and prep. This has resulted in a total of 10 menu revisions throughout the course of the year, with the focus on seasonal items to provide the best quality and value, providing more variety and an opportunity once again to review our pricing to remain consistent with our structure. These menu changes have allowed us to continually monitor that pricing and given the continuous price escalations and to make necessary adjustments whenever needed. Our daily features. This has been a big hit this year, and I think a lot of residents have enjoyed the variety and consistent changes of our daily features. This also has provided our culinary team an opportunity to be creative and enhance their engagement. We're able to utilize products on hand and also take advantage of supplier features. Providing features is not only a great opportunity to promote creativity and variety, but also it allows us to get feedback on these items for future use in other menus, which was the case a number of times this year. More variety, less wastage, and our golf league features. These features were set out at the beginning of the golf season and communicated to league conveners and advertised ahead of time through BenBits, or through the website and through the Pro Shop advertising. Dining events. We had some great success with a number of special dining events this past year, including some of the following: our Easter brunch, which was sold out at 200 people. Our Mother's Day brunch was near sold out. We had 175. As mentioned previously, we had 160 for our Thanksgiving dinner, which was sold out. Prime rib nights, we've executed about 5 through the course of the year, which were very popular. And then our live entertainment nights as well. We've did a few with some band members in here, and then also a special thanks has to go out to the RiverBend Social Committee for all their work in organizing a number of the live entertainment events this year that were very well attended, and we have a couple coming up tomorrow night and Friday, so I hope you're all attending that. We also had our fish fry nights, which were very popular. Breakfast at the Ben and our chef's table. This has been a very popular and successful event, and so much so that we've actually expanded the event to include a second night, and we continue to have pretty full participation with both nights now. Staff training and development. Enhanced training program this year, this spring, that was focused on member dining steps of service, increased attentiveness, presence, and knowledge. Although much of our effort is on the spring training session, this continues to be an area of focus throughout the season as we learn more about our team and find effective ways to enhance their skills, keep them engaged, and ultimately enhance your experience. Bi-weekly performance reviews for all of our service staff that is reflected in the gratuity payouts. Servers are evaluated on their areas such as initiative, efficiency, responsiveness, teamwork, communication, and attitude. This initiative has been in place since I've been here. It is an important tool and resource for our team in evaluating our serving staff on a consistent basis, not only for the purpose of rewarding them through their gratuities, but also to find areas we can focus on with their development. Our beverage program, our happy hour, which we've had for a few years now, 2 to 5 p.m. daily value-added program for our residents, designed to increase revenue during typically slower times, and also to promote some post-golf socializing. Our wines and cocktails of the month, which are opportunities to try some wines from our by the bottle menu at reduced pricing, or possibly even a new cocktail. And our new specialty coffees with our new Nespresso unit that we got earlier in the spring. Obviously, we still remain to have some challenges this year. Staffing and labor, although improved from past years, it's still definitely a challenging labor market. The minimum wage increases. This month, we saw another increase in minimum wage of 6.8%. Since 2017, we've experienced 63.8% increase in minimum wage, which is obviously it has a significant impact on our operations financially. And this results in a focus on recruitment and retention. With these wage increases, our efforts in both recruiting and retaining staff has become even more important so that we can develop key staff as more experienced and effective staff can result in less staff needed for service without impacting your experience. Another challenge that we face, and I'm sure all of you face as well, is the rising food costs. We continue to see fluctuating prices across the majority of food categories. And in most cases, price increases are ranging from 3% to 12% year over year. I'm sure you've all seen this impact you on a personal level on your weekly trip to the superstore or Costco, as we continually see increasing and escalating prices throughout 2023. Some recent reports indicated that there are some that the increases are going to stabilize in the future, but obviously we will continue to see some high prices and abnormal increases compared to pre-pandemic, which we were in kind of a 2 to 4% annually. So factors, some obviously factors including in the raising costs, the increase in the raw materials, input costs, your labor, utilities, overhead, transportation. We're actually seeing a lot of our suppliers trying to add on fuel cost surcharges now. Unexpected weather events, and then the avian influenza, the bird flu, which actually impact a lot of pricing on eggs, poultry, and turkey in a lot of cases. In the coming months, so we look forward, obviously we're into the fall now, and looking forward to our holiday season where we'll be hosting a number of special events, including our Christmas brunch, our breakfast with Santa, our New Year's Eve dinner, and then a holiday edition chef's table scheduled for early December. Just a reminder, when the golf course closes, we will be doing a closure, F&B closure on Mondays, so beginning November 20th. Something else that's pretty exciting for us is our annual resident survey. We're excited about this new survey software that we're launching this fall, as we believe it'll provide an opportunity to get more timely feedback throughout the year through pulse surveys, and that we can make an effective operational decisions. These pulse surveys or mini surveys will give us opportunity to seek immediate and continuous feedback from our residents throughout the year. We'll have the ability to out following a specific event or a dining or a dinner service to get your input on how the experience was, allowing us to better evaluate what and how we are doing. Looking ahead to winter 2024, our hours of operation will be similar to prior years. This will be contingent on the clubhouse renovation proceeding or not. But right now we would be closed Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. We're going to resume our RB Eats delivery service. So no need to shovel off the car or put your jacket on. Thursday through Sunday, we're going to be doing indoor dining from 12 to 8:30, and as well as still having our RB Eats takeout available, and with the possibility of adding in delivery for those days as well. So once again, just want to thank you all for your continued support. We feel it's been a great year. We have a great team in place. This is the first year we've had the full management team in place for the whole year. So we're looking ahead to some exciting things in the years to come. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Sean. Great job by you and your culinary team, both Kyle in the back of the house and Sean in the front of the house, and all your supervisors and team leaders. You're making significant progress in your policies and procedures and changes during a very challenging supply chain. So well done. So next up, we're going to have our residential construction manager, Jared Snyder, speak to the London market and also how we're doing at RiverBend. Thanks, Jared, for coming tonight.
Thank you for having me. Sorry, I just got to adjust this a bit. There we go. So I'm just going to touch on a couple topics here. So the current kind of market, present market in London, as well as individually in RiverBend, and what the residential market is looking like going forward. So the residential market continues to decline, not only in London, but across the country, and that's due to higher interest rates. It just started kind of in the first quarter of 2022. CMHC stated that this year, at this point in time, we have about 1,404 housing startups in London, Ontario, which is down from 1,988 the same time last year. It's a 30% decrease year over year, and 65% increase from 2021 this time, which was 3,966. Thanks for moving that for me too. Perfect. I have prompts here, but I'm trying not to read. So the resale housing market. Yes, I'm there. Resale housing market is a big predictor, and the London St. Thomas market, it kind of continued with price appreciation and resale. London maintains affordability compared to other Ontario and Canadian centers. So even though the prices are high, the market's low right now, it's going slow, it's still relatively affordable. With this competitive advantage, kind of the impact of Bank of Canada holding the rates at 5%. Not sure where it's going to go in the next coming years, but it's looking positive. we're hoping for the next year in 2024 with lower rates that will help increase the sale of houses. Good news is RiverBend is more stable. It's less influenced, obviously, than other sites that we have as far as the rates are concerned. Single detached, as well as trying to find my spot. So we have 12 homes sold this year. We projected 14. And so we have 6 inside singles as well as 6 golf course lots. The drawn out schedules as well, and the shortage of material and labor has decreased due to COVID. We're seeing a big rebound, and obviously with the decrease in housing right now, there is that availability for product and for staff and trades. RiverBend's 2024 sales, we're projecting 7. Now we're projecting that kind of conservatively. Who knows how the rates, and the reason being, I said before, as RiverBend's not as affected by the rates, but at the same time, if people RiverBend want to sell their house, move into RiverBend, it's going to affect the sale of their current home. So with that projection, we'd have 5 lots remaining for the 2025 year. 2 of those lots would be the presentation center as well as the parking lot. So in 2 years' time, hopefully we'll have all the low rise, the residential single detached done. No more dust, no more having to clean your windows 3 times a year. And so I skipped ahead too fast, but thank you for your time. Hopefully, maybe I can answer some more questions later, and I didn't miss too much for you guys. Take care.
Thank you, Jared. Really appreciate you filling in and in the last minute. So thank you very much for giving us a very positive update for RiverBend compared to the rest of the city and definitely the other Sifton sites. So thank you, Jared. Next up, I'd like to introduce our new Owners Council Chair, Mr. Brian Morris, to give an Owners Council update.
I'll rent that and play a land lease on it too. Okay. Good evening. It's nice to see so many people out. I guess, Tara, we have about the same number of people online. Oh, very good. Well, number one, I'll start off with thanking you for your support and giving us your trust. The 3 folks that were elected and the other people who ran, appreciate you coming out and voting and going online, I should say, and voting. And out of that, the 3 people who just got elected, one is new to the Owners Council. The other 2 bring 10 years of experience. So if we add it all together for the people who are already on the council, the total is 15 years of experience. So that's good, and it's good for 2 reasons. When we came into office 11 days ago, so we were, as a group, we knew we had not met, many of us. We are brand new to the environment of that group. So away we go. So we have a few things right off the bat to deal with. And that was some lease issues that were still being discussed and still are. The presentation for the AGM, the rental project, which is moving right along this month. There's meetings on this council to have people tell us and put together a short and midterm planning program. And we have an Owners Council and Sifton Properties Limited meetings later this month. So a lot to do in the first month of working together. That's a good thing. The other thing which is good about it is that it gives some of us who've been here before a chance to really reflect on what could we do better. So even before the election, Bruce and I got together and said, if we were to be elected, what would we do differently? And we had a list. We knew things we didn't do as well as we should have. And we kick ourselves for not being as good as we should have been in some areas, but we were determined to fix that. So before I introduce the team to you, you've been sitting now for about 35 minutes. So I'm going to get a way for you to stand up just for 30 seconds, but not yet. Not yet. I have a question for you. How many of you have volunteered to do something? And volunteering is defined as doing some work with no money, if we can use that as a definition. How many of you have done volunteer work with the expectation that what you chose to do, you would enjoy it? If you've had that experience, can you stand up? Wow, fantastic. Question number 2. How many of you found that you did enjoy the work you did as a volunteer? How many, put your hands up if you enjoyed the work? Wow, thank you. That's your chance to stand up. Now you have to sit back down. So one time, I think sometimes it gets confusing. The people who run and sit on your owners council year after year are volunteers. There's no T4 slip for us to apply for from Sifton at the end of the year. That's their decision, and we are volunteers and happy to do so. Volunteering is an interesting thing because people after a while expect it to almost be like a job. And I think the truth is the people I've noticed over the years on Owners Council going back feel just that way. They take it very seriously and they do their very best on your behalf. So I'd like to introduce the team to you and review their responsibilities going forward. Oops, you already did that. Did I do that already? Tara did it for me. Oh, thank you. It's okay. I'll practice. I practiced all day doing this. Anyways, I being chair is selected by the members of the Owners Council. Daniel Bouchard, he's going to be a member at large, which means he's going to be doing a lot of special projects for us. And he will probably be asking many members of the community to help because there's areas which we do not have expertise, and man, do we have expertise in this community. So we'll be asking for help in certain areas. Bruce Graham is returning to council after being gone for a few years in the finance group, and he's also treasurer. Susan Holiday has joined the infrastructure group. And she's also our secretary. Wayne Newson will continue in finance as he has for the last year. And Sandra Node will continue in infrastructure. And she, of course, has been very busy on the Reno committee. And Pamela Wallen is kind of, for Bruce and I going back from the old days, kind of a great dream come true from a communications perspective, because one of the things we knew we had to improve was our communications. Want me to do it? I'm ready. I have. So I want to go over 3 different areas with you very briefly and as part of my presentation. Number 1, communication. We know full well that when I look back at my time on Owners Council, this is one area which is probably my biggest regret, that we did not communicate well enough with the community, anywhere near enough. And we are determined to fix that. And along comes Pamela. So she's a good writer, and she is working hard already. And she, of course, is the editor of the up and coming and brand new Around the Bend. Next, as I say, we are going to fix the communication problem. You're going to probably hear from us, not to the level of Kevin from golf, but we'll be talking to you a fair bit. I promise you that the communications will be robust. They will be timely, factual, and respectful. With our new newsletter Around the Bend, it will be easy to read, timely, fact-based, and the Owners Council is responsible for its content. So at this time, I'd like to actually thank SPL because this has never happened before. This is new for us as a community. That they are allowing us to use their secured email system through Terra. Terra runs it. And this way, the official voice of RiverBend, which is Owners Council, will be delivered to the official email list that she has. Furthermore, and just as important, there'll be no vetting from SPL. So what you're reading is from us, which I think is tremendous. I can't overstate how important that is. The next group I want to talk to you about for just a minute is finance. I'll get it, Tara. I'm coming. There we are. Oh, by the way, one last comment. These are some of the comments that were made about the around the bend when it came out, and you can read that for yourself. Lots of good feedback. No one said it was bad. Everyone said it was good, and some people said it's about bloody time, and they're right. Okay, finance. Money is the thread that binds issues. As your chair, I have to differentiate between two factors that happen here all the time. People say to me, it's beautiful being here. I love my life. I love the golf course, etc. That's all I need. But if you're going to be an owner's council, you got to have to change your golf hat for a moment and put on your business hat. And you have to start dealing with the business side of the operation. In other words, the mathematics. We have two very well-versed members in the finance group who will be dealing with the budgets, financial results throughout the year, and other financial papers. You'll be hearing from them in the weeks ahead in the Around the Bend newsletter. Now, in 2019, 2020, the landscape changed where the owners became responsible for the cost of running this place as per your lease. Just to be clear, we're very aware that SPL drives the bus, owns the bus, and there's only one set of keys. And that's in your lease, clear as can be. That said, we're looking forward to discussing with SPL our desire to be more involved in how we pay the bills. Yes, we'll pay, but the question is by which method? That would be, for example, the use of assessments or the use of reserve funds if need be. Is this my water? I had a nice cube. Sorry. I want to talk for a moment about reserve funds. The clubhouse reserve and the community reserve you pay into, and that money ends up in an investment fund. For those who are relatively new here, both those reserve funds are put into books, and the books are very thick. And every line of anything that could be expended that must be either be repaired, replaced, or maintained is in those books. Light bulbs, chairs, furniture, ovens, roads, sewers, you name it, it's in these books, depending if it's clubhouse or community. So we can come along and say, okay, in the year 2024, we can go down and see all the things that are going to have to be repaired, replaced, or maintained. So we know, and we can come up with a budget. Stephen comes up with a budget of what that total will be. So it's predictable, more or less. It's not a science, it's more of an art, where things don't always happen as planned. Life gets in the way. An air conditioner will break a year early, an oven will break down and needs to be replaced, whatever. So things kind of come and flow. With that being said, if we start to use that, if we start to use the reserve funds willy-nilly and say we just want to buy something and just go out and do it, the danger with that is the reserve fund can't grow as forecast. If it can't grow as forecast, we won't have as much as we thought we we're going to have. And it affects us in different ways. Number one, we have low grade, we could have low grade reserve funds. At the present time, we are a little low, but we're not, it's not dramatically an alarm bell. However, the Rimkus company who does the reserve fund study, it's a new company for SPL, has done the work and has feeling that we are on the right track and things will certainly be improving. Again, If we use the funds from the reserve pot gets smaller. This means the financial engine that generates financial growth, that being our investments, cannot return as forecast. Other things can get in the way too. We could have variables such as the financial investment return is lower than expected, and something you've been all very familiar with lately, something called inflation could affect that as well. We need to strengthen our reserves, and the plan is a good one. It calls for increases of those two reserve funds over a 6-year period. We'll be in very, very good shape. Two things are come out of that. A, we're in good shape. That's good. But also, I always look down the road. So if I were buying in here down the road and I found out that you were broke, that may turn me away or off or give it a lower offer to the house. So we have to look sharp. It's like that's the closest we come to being like a condo. How are they financially? So when you hear some numbers come out about the reserve fund increases, if I give you the percentage, it would shock you. And they're very high, 19, 16%, big numbers, but they're very small mathematical numbers. So it's nothing to get fearful about. So over a 6-year period, we will be better shape than we are now by a long bit, but we are not in trouble as of today. We're not in trouble. We're okay, but we're going to be much better if we follow the plan. How do we follow the plan? Don't use the reserve funds unless there's some drastic emergency. All costs related to the Reno project, for example, of the Reno project plan was about $30,000. That could be an example where it would not be taken from the reserve fund. It would be taken as a part of the assessment. Okay, off we go. The last area, and last but not least, is infrastructure. Over the last period of time, we've had our two members are now Sandra Note, as I mentioned, and Sue Holliday, our secretary. We'll be asking members of the community to help us out in areas, as I say, where expertise is required. But as you know, for the last year, the infrastructure committee, which has always been somewhat of a low profile group, has become high profile. That's because of the House Reno project. Two members of the Reno committee have been from the Owners Council. That's Sandra Node and Russell Petts. With the departure of Russell Petts, Sue Holliday has joined Sandra going forward. This group has worked very hard to work with the committee to see where we should be going with this idea of a improvement project. They, as I say, worked very hard, and final budgets are coming shortly, and voting takes place thereafter. The Owners Council asks one thing of you, and that is please vote. Please vote. In conclusion, I'd like to thank you for your time. And remember, you can contact us at ownerscouncil@riverbend.gulf.com. And to learn more about our terms of reference, you can go to the website, select Community Life, and then Owners Council, and there's a tab for terms of reference. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian, and thank you for your words today. I think we're very fortunate, RiverBend, to have so many invested groups and committees, if it's golf committees, if it's social committees, the leagues, and also your elected officials, which is your Owners Council. As per the terms of the lease, they are your voice. They are the ones who are that reliable source. And I have to give them a lot of credit. They've had a very challenging year. The past year, with lots of different nuances taking place, and between the land lease and clubhouse renovation and some new people joining council, they're an easy target, but I give that group a lot of credit. We are invited guests to those meetings, Sifton Properties, and we don't always agree. We sometimes disagree. But what I will say in my 14 years is that they are now respectful conversations. We try to work collaboratively because we want the same goal for the community. We all want the community to thrive. And they have a job to do. We have a job to do. And in my 14 years, it's come a long ways compared to some of the early disrespectful meetings that I was witness to. So thank you to Mike Spear, who did a lot of work as your past chair. You please give him a round of applause. Okay, so let's move on to the financial side of things. After I finish the financial side, we will move on to the Q&A. So there will be the opportunity to have any questions either in person with a mic in the middle of the room. And for those of you who are joining us on Zoom today, please feel free to use the chat version there. So this first slide talks to our 2023 financial review and where we are projecting to finish the year. These budgets are done in August, so we are kind of projecting for those last 4 months of the year based upon business levels and what is on the books for the clubhouse. It's hard to predict what Jerry's snow team will be doing, but let's all hope for a very light, seasonable late fall, right, Jerry? Roads will be clear, promised. That's fantastic. So what that first slide says is that we have a balanced budget. It's hard to see there. That's weird. So it's a balanced budget showing that our revenues equal our expenses. So that's why the budget says 0. And now we look at the projections. So what that is showing is that in the community, we are projecting to finish 98,743 cents ahead of budget. So that's a positive thing. So we are about 6.1% forecasting ahead of budget. The clubhouse operations, which includes food and beverage, is forecasting to finish $12,910 ahead of budget, which is just under 1%. So for the total for the community, which the community is responsible for, we are forecasting to finish just over $111,653, which equates to 3% over budget. So that's a positive financial position. And let's kind of talk about why we're ahead of budget. First of all, on the community maintenance side, wages and benefits are probably the first largest variance in Jerry's team. As Jerry mentioned and Jerry alluded to, we have had some challenges in regards to recruiting new labor force. Obviously, everyone knows that the labor market is challenged these days, and Jerry was actually short 3 full-time positions for various periods of 2023. He was able to recruit successfully over the last 6 months, but that will continue to be a challenge, and that is something that Sifton has identified. We have started a recruitment and retention task force over the past year because we are all trying to find creative ways to get that next generation of worker to actually work. So when we find good ones, we try to keep them. And we all know about minimum wage, which impacts not just the starting employee, but also that wage compression for employees who've been here for a number of years. Snow operations were impacted by inconsistent weather patterns last year. We're seeing wide weather temperature changes for Jerry's team, which actually resulted in less snow events this past year. But what it did do actually is increase our salt applications, which unfortunately coincided with increased salt prices. So to keep you safe while you're walking and driving, there is salt put down, but definitely less snow events is a positive to that. And as we know, gasoline and oil prices fluctuated significantly this past year, and let's just hope that gets a little more stable in 2024. Clubhouse, we are again projecting to finish just under $13,000 ahead of budget. As we mentioned previously, minimum wage increased on October 1st by 6.7%. So that will impact definitely Sean's team more than most. All our servers are at minimum wage, so that 6.7% increase is significant. Catering and banquet business declined in 2023. We saw in 2022 actually a lot of what we call COVID weddings show up. All those weddings in 2020-21 that got rescheduled till the end of COVID. It was not the end of COVID, based upon what I'm hearing in the news. But we are seeing now less weddings taking place, smaller weddings. That next generation seems to be having more destination type weddings. So that'll be interesting to see, and that is very consistent in this kind of marketplace too, where both the hotel business and the club business, where we are seeing less and less of those larger weddings happening. Also on a positive note, food costs actually declined by 1.75% under budget. Our new culinary team, as I mentioned before, led by Kyle and Nathan, have done a very great job of changing our processes, changing our policies, having unique ways to look at new suppliers and purchasing. So we've all seen the food increase prices at Remark. Remark is very expensive. I don't go there very often, but my wife goes there and I've got to watch that. So anyway, that's a sidebar, but member spend has increased 9% year over year. So give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you very much for utilizing your clubhouse. And last but not least, the fitness facility. I think the fitness facility transitioned very well during COVID with setting up home gyms, doing a lot of virtual programming. They did such a great job that now they're having a hard time getting people back to the gym. So everyone's saying they're working out from home, but the proof is in the pudding. But Kristen is being very creative, trying to find ways to get people back in the gym. And we are starting to see those numbers return, but definitely not to the 2019 level. But Kristen's doing her darndest. So 2024 budget. This slide just shows you our total revenues. Again, it's hard to see, isn't it? Our total revenues, both in the clubhouse and the community. So total revenues of just under $4.4 million. Our total expenses totaling just under 3.9, and our G&A of 517. Again, just illustrating, showing you a balanced budget. So what's configuring that budget for next year? So community maintenance, some factors to keep in mind when we're doing the budget process. First of all, some of Jerry's snow removal contracts are increasing by 10%. Jerry was very creative actually over the last 3 years that he tied us into about like a 3-year contracts. Well, some of those contracts have now come due. So obviously those contracts are influenced by the labor market and what those companies are paying their labor force. We are also forecasting, based upon our suppliers, 7% increase in salt pricing. We also, as we mentioned, almost a 7% increase in minimum wage, and also a 5% increase in aggregates, which is your mulch applications, both in your front backyards and also in the community gardens. And we are forecasting, based upon our accounting team, a 3% increase in utilities. Clubhouse factors impacting our 2024 budget. Minimum wage we have alluded to. Definitely we are forecasting based upon the clubhouse being renovated next January till April. That is yet to be determined, but when we create a budget, we had to make some assumptions what our best guess was. So our clubhouse budget is based upon limited activity in this building through the end of April. If the renovation moves forward, we're definitely going to be showcasing this building in a much broader spectrum, and we're going to see a lot more positive comments from both guests and visitors and possible brides. We'll be obviously utilizing our RB Eats program, great program that Sean and his team created over COVID. We will drive to you or do pickups, so which is wonderful. And as Sean mentioned, continued menu change frequency. We've heard that loud and clear. Obviously, price increases will take place, but Sean's team will ensure that we're changing those menus every 5 to 6 weeks. And we're also hopeful that the fitness facility will continue to increase activity and approach pre-pandemic levels. So our 2024 budget calculations. So again, when we are built out, we will have 489 homes in the community. So there will be 489 homes times 12 months contributing to the to the clubhouse operations and the community maintenance operations. So that equals 5,868 total months contributing to the fees. At the start of 2024, we will have 476 homes occupied. So what that means is that we'll have 476 homes times 12 months, so 5,712 contributing months. And we also have to also tie in how many new homes that Jared and Toby and their teams will be building next year. So we are forecasting 7 new homes next year. We also have to forecast, I believe we had 1 in February, 1 in March, 2 in April, 1 in June, I believe, and 1 in October, November, December, I believe, off the top of my head. So that equates to 40 months of contributing months. So that totals 5,752 total months. So then we look at how that impacts your fees and expenses. So we look at the total expenses for the community maintenance expenses, which is 1.748 million, plus the G&A expenses, minus the other revenue. And the other revenue could be anything in regards to burlap wrapping. It could be our home check service that Lisa and her team does. From that, we also add in the villa discount. So we have 139 villas in this community. Who all pay $25 less per villa. So that equates to total expenses of 1.992 million divided by the previously mentioned 5,752 equals your 2024 monthly fee of $346.45, which is a 2.7% increase over this year. Now we move over to the clubhouse budget calculations. Very similar. We look at the total revenue in the clubhouse food and beverage portion of $1.136 million, less your direct expenses, 1.426, less your G&A, leaves a shortfall of $475,000. Divided by the total months, which is 5,764. The reason why this number is slightly different is because we have 2 private homes in this community that were here before RiverBend started, and they also contribute to the clubhouse fees. So that total monthly food and beverage fee is $82.54, which is a 3.8% increase over 2023. Then we bring in the clubhouse calculation. So we split up the clubhouse and the food and beverage operation. So we look at the total expenses of 2.149 million less the food and beverage expenses equals 723,346, which is your clubhouse expenses. Same thing for the G&A, their total less the F&B equals 69,165. And then your other revenue of $61,000, like this could be like a private room rental. This could be your non-resident golf members who contribute to the clubhouse operations. So total cost of $730,889. So when we're full, we will have 5,868 months. So you divide that out, and again, your 2024 monthly fee is $124.56 the clubhouse, plus your food and beverage fee equals your total monthly clubhouse fee of $207.10. Lots to digest, I know, but if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me later, ask tomorrow, or email anytime. I'll be happy to explain the math to you. So these again are your 2024 fees combined, which you were notified of as of October 1st, as per your terms of the lease in regards to 90 days notice. So the community maintenance fee of $346.45 for the villas, that's $25 less, so $321.45, plus your clubhouse fees of $207.10. And then you have your clubhouse and community reserve fund fees, which we have used RIMCUS to do a third-party reserve fund study, which Brian Morris alluded to. So we mirror what they are recommending us to be the right levels of fees for both the clubhouse and community. So your total fees for 2024 is $608.87 for a single and $583.87 for a villa. Okay, I just wanted to finish just speaking to the clubhouse renovation update, because I know a number of you have alluded to it. And I just want to speak to the committee, and I know several of the committee members are here today. I see Sandra and I see Susan Knox, and I'm sure Barb Dunlap's here somewhere. And this committee's been working very, very hard on your behalf the past year, getting your feedback, getting lots of emails, more emails, right, Sandra? And everyone's got some wonderful ideas and wonderful opinions. And I think it's moving along very, very well. This committee is very dedicated to hearing what you want. Again, lots of different views, which is interesting. But I think we're in the home stretch, and I really think that if this does take place, this clubhouse renovation, I really think it's going to make a massive difference to this community, this amenity that you enjoy, and also relates to your individual home values. Because I think when we get people visiting the community, and Sean and I tour people to through this clubhouse, be it a possible new resident, be it a bride, be it just a guest, everyone loves our facility, everyone loves the building and the golf course. Then their first question is, so when are you going to update the building? So this is a wonderful building. It is now approaching 20 years old. And I think with a little TLC and some updates here and there, I think we'll have a building that we can all be very, very proud of. So, but again, this is just a review of what's taking place right now. We are going through the tendering process to finalize some costs based upon your feedback. There is a revised scope and budget that's going to be sent out to you in the next, I would hope, the next week, based upon some changes we've made to both the terrace, the patio, some changes to the trophy room, which we've listened to. So, and also just keeping in mind all the factors that this committee's been talking about. If it's the acoustics in this room, if it's the functionality that suits the multiple events or the social activities, or even not just the golfers, but the non-golfers. 1/3 of our community does not golf, and we also have 25% of our community who are singles in this community. So it's very important that we have space available for different types of demographic, different tastes, and different groups. So then our plan at the end of the month is do one more presentation to the community, which will be 2 weeks tomorrow, I guess. And you'll hear from our construction team, from our decor and a design team, and also our budget team in regards to what that looks like. We'll also at that point go over like the cost per resident, and also some different finance options that we're looking at creatively. So, and then the last week of October, there will be a community-wide vote, and this will be your chance to vote on the project. Once you see those final costs, there'll be one vote per household. It will be the email. It'll be all online voting, with the option in person if you don't have the means to do that online. But the online means that you can do it from wherever you are. Hopefully you're in the sunny south. And then we'll have 2 scrutineers from Owners Council who will be ensuring that the voting takes place, and that it's authenticated with only 1 vote per household. So again, it is a very exciting project. I do hope like we have a positive outcome, but please, as Brian said, please do vote. And please give this committee your feedback, because we want to hear it, and we want to hear your views, and we want to make sure we have something that we're all proud of. So thank you. Okay, so we're going to move over to the Q&A portion of the evening. If you do have a question, I think Jeff's going to move the mic to the middle of the room. So please head over to the mic if you have a question. And then we'll also answer any questions for those of you who are online tonight. Please feel free to ask any questions in the chat portion. Okay, I had one question which was sent to me in advance, so I'll just read that first. I can't read it with glasses, so different glasses on. Okay, so the question was, this was from a resident, Clark McMaster. Is the proposed renovation assessment to the tenant's residence legal under the Residential Tenancies Act? So good question, Clark. So the short answer to that is yes, it is. It is legal. So just go back in time. This renovation, and why we are looking at it from a Sifton point of view and also an Owners Council view, is that we've received significant impact the last couple of years, probably 2 to 4 years, in regards to change that need to be made to this building. So because of the magnitude of this change, obviously as per the terms of the lease, a vote had to take place. So in consultation with Owners Council over the past year, we had a proposal a year ago. I think it was almost too soon to include that in the fees. So we decided to form a committee, starting with your 2 infrastructure committee members from Owners Council. And they were formed with 5 residents at large, and also Sean from operations, to ensure we have a wide range of opinions. This fund, obviously, it would be under the Reserve Fund Association, which is not affected by the RTA. And because the reserve funds obviously would be reduced significantly if we use the reserve funds for this project, I think it's wise to have an assessment at this point and ensure, as Brian alluded to, ensuring that those reserve funds are sustainable and like for the long term of this community. So again, that is the Coles notes of how the assessment, which is in the lease, relates to the RTA. Any questions online there? So I got one question online. Change glasses again. Oh, that's better. Okay, I can read. If there was going to choose from regards to the renovations, it seems to me this is only going to be a yes or no, all or nothing. What happens if his vote is no? So this is from Mark and Pat. So it seems to me this is going to be yes. So I think the question is, yes, there will be one question asked in regards to 2 questions asked, actually. The first, so based upon all the feedback that we received from the community over the past 9 months, the committee has been working feverishly to try to narrow the scope of the work and ensuring that we are targeting parts of the building that we believe are most required and what our community members want. So we can't have a piecemeal, do like this, do that, because we'd probably have 9 different votes on what people would want. So yes, your committee has narrowed that scope down. There will be a vote in regards to, do you want to proceed with this scope of work at this cost, at this expense? So be a yes or no to that. To move forward with the project, we will have to have quorum, first of all. So the first thing is that we will have to have 50% community vote to make the vote authentic. And the second caveat to that is, to pass, it will have to be, we will have to receive 50 plus 1 yes votes of those votes received to ensure that the project goes forward. Now, what happens if the vote is no? Well, that's a good question, because I think our committee has been so immersed in doing everything we can to make this happen that we are trying to not focus on the what ifs, but there might very well be a what if. So I'm sure at that point, if the vote comes no, we will have to go back to the drawing board. We'll have to review again with your owners council. We'll have to probably solicit the community again to see what they want to do. And then we'll potentially start the process again, potentially, patch things together. But I'd rather focus on what I think is beneficial to this community, both now and in the future. And hopefully we don't have to answer the what ifs. So thank you for that question, Mark and Pat. Question in person. If you can just state your name, please, before your question, so we can have it for the minutes.
Paul Page. I just have a question for Jerry. What's the long-term plan for that beautiful stump on the 15th? Did I stump you, Jerry?
So no, you didn't stump me, actually. So the plan for that right now is to remove what's left of it. Unfortunately, I'll tell you, when I first started here in 2002, when we started constructing over there later on, I don't know when it was, probably 6 or 8 years later. And I said to the constructors, Sifton, I said, I'm going to chain myself to that tree if you guys attempt to move that tree or take it down. So I really love that tree, and it is significant to this community. Unfortunately, it was rotten. So right now that we did get some of the wood milled. So actually, Kevin, he will be doing some form of constructing of that wood, benches or something he's thinking about. For right now, I don't think we're going to replace a tree, we can't replace that tree. So potentially we could put a couple small trees there, but right now it's just up in the air. So basically it's going to be, the stump's going to be removed hopefully soon. We're waiting for contractors to come in. So it's going to be a bit of a process to take that out. And we're going to just kind of clean that area up first, and then we're going to decide what we can do with it. But some of the wood definitely is going to be saved. So thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Jerry. Yes, was it 360 years old? Not exactly sure, but yeah, very sad. But at least it fell the right way when no one was around, so could have been dangerous. Okay, I got another question from the virtual group today from iPhone. Nope, I see Craig Richardson. Has there been a decision with regard to non-resident golf members paying their fair share towards a clubhouse renovation as done at other local private clubs? So great question, Craig. And I do think at other clubs we have a very different setup than RiverBend. For instance, the Hunt Club is all member owned. Our non-resident golf members in their membership agreements do not have any clause in there that they are responsible for this building. Saying that, they are responsible for their food and beverage minimum. If they want to utilize the building in the wintertime, they have to pay an off-season monthly fee to use the fitness facility and also the social activities. So at this point, no, Ms. Richardson, non-resident golf members are not responsible for the clubhouse renovation. But like anything, we are still reviewing every possible option. So thank you for that question, Craig. A question here, another virtual question from Ken Aitchison. Will the financial amounts and arrangements be included in the final presentation? Yes. So I believe Ms. Aitchison is referring to the final presentation by your clubhouse renovation committee on October the 26th. We will have a format to this night where will be the option for you to attend in person or to watch virtually. We will have definitely at latest by that time all the financial information in regards to what that looks like per household share and also what those financing options will be. We also hope to have the revised scope and revised budget shared with the community in the next week. So we will be inundating with information over the next week to 2 weeks. So no questions online. I had another question here sent to me in advance, which I'm going to read. So this question is from Mr. Colby. My question is in regards to operating versus capital costs. Why are the residents being asked to pay for the capital addition to Sifton's own clubhouse as this is not an operating cost? The increased value will add to SPL's asset, increase its potential resale value for SPL. This renovation is a capital addition, not an operating cost, either for legal, accounting, or income tax purposes. So the answer to that, so good question. Thank you, Mr. Colby. So this is in your lease, actually, Mr. Colby, where it does speak to capital improvements and specifically your reserve funds. So if you look into clause 7 in your lease, and you'll look in regards to the reserve fund and membership. So it speaks to, and I won't read it word for word, but it does speak how the residents pay Sifton adjusted on a calendar year basis the amount set out in Schedule T as a contribution to RiverBend Country Reserve Fund. Then it also speaks to the share of the reserve fund, and it also speaks to Section B of that, any additional amount approved by the majority of the members of the RiverBend Country Club as an additional levy or assessment for a particular program or function in the RiverBend Country Club owing prior date of transfer. So any additional, that is why that vote will be taking place the last week of October in regards to that assessment, which is outside the parameters of the reserve fund. So I hope that answers your question, Mr. Colby. But again, please feel free to contact me later if you have any further questions. Any more questions in person here? Again, just please provide your name for the minutes, please.
Mary Deslauriers. The question I have has to do with the reserve fund and expenses like this. I'm just wondering why, over the course of 20 years, the expectation of renovating the clubhouse would not have been included in a reserve fund amount.
No, great question. Thank you, Gloria. And I think that's a question that we've had extensively with your owners council. And I think it's all about reserve funds where like I know there is lots of dialogue in regards to what should and what shouldn't go into reserve funds. So reserve funds, again, we now have Rimkus, who is a third-party company who does an on-site audit of every single capital piece of equipment, roads, lights, everything in this building and also in the community in regards to their shelf life. So they'll look at, for instance, this carpet, commercial carpet grade. They will look at it and go, well, this type of commercial with this type of usage should last 18 to 20 years. So what they'll do with a carpet is this carpet was actually replaced in, I think it was 2008, I believe. Anyway, so they will say in 20 years time, this carpet should be replaced because of wear and tear. What these reserve funds do not identify is when you are looking at a decor change or design change. Like this carpet, for instance, could last another 10 years. So it is identified in the reserve funds to be replaced in 10 years. But if we decide to do it because of decor or paint the entire building, because now we know that in these types of buildings, we want more of a lighter color, lighter lights, using LEDs, those types of things are not covered in reserve funds. There are certain things that will line up, which we might be able to utilize, but it's very hard to say, well, just because we want to change something in decor, that's not a capital piece of equipment that is depreciating, it doesn't line up. So that's why reserve funds, which are actually, I wouldn't say adequately funded, because we've had lots of discussions with your finance committee in regards to what defines adequately funded, but from my perspective, in 14 years, those reserve funds had just over $100,000 14 years ago, and now they're slightly over $1.1 million. So we're definitely in a lot better position than we were 14 years ago. But thank you for the question, and appreciate that. Next question.
Mike Hale. So thank you for bringing the description of that section of the lease up. You said it would be the majority of members, as it is listed in the lease, not majority of those who vote. So could you explain why you have that clarification?
So I think what Mike is alluding to is how you move forward with an assessment vote. And I'm not a lawyer, so I don't want to be a lawyer. But from our understanding of what has been present in this community and what is typical in any type of democratic setting is that to move forward with majority is those who vote. And we're very fortunate here that I think we have a very, very engaged community. So I don't think there's going to be a shortage of votes here, first and foremost. But yes, we have to have quorum, which is half the community who don't decide to vote. That is their choice. But it is 51 plus 1% of those who vote later in the month. Any other questions? I got one other question online here. Is it safe to assume that owners council will have audit privileges on all expenses related to us as owners that we are responsible for paying? Brian, do you want to touch on that, or shall I? Is it safe to assume that owners council will have audit privileges on all expenses related to us as owners that we are responsible for paying for? So I don't think anything's changed. First and foremost, Craig, in regards to the RTA having an arm's length reserve fund association, as per the terms of the lease, the only financial information that Sifton has to provide are actually audited statements. So that's what the lease states, what Sifton's requirements responsibilities are for the community. But what we do, I believe, is above that. We do review quarterly financial statements with your owners council. We do present budgets. We do review reserve fund expenses, which I think we're going to be making some more changes to with your new finance individuals. So I believe there is a lot more oversight than is required, Craig. And if you have any specific questions, let me know. But I think that's what you're pertaining to. And again, feel free to reach out to myself or your owner's counsel if you need any further clarification. So. Okay, I think that is all the questions online. And that's all the questions I have in advance. So again, thank you so much for all attending tonight. Thanks for taking an hour and a half of your time. And thank you for being residents of this wonderful community. Like it is appreciated. It's appreciated for all the new people living here and for those of you who lived here for 20 years. So wherever you are this winter, safe travels, enjoy your winter. And we hope to see you all this winter or next spring. So thank you very much for attending. Have a good evening.